We were halfway through the champagne toast when it happened. I'm Rowena, I'm 34. And at my sister's contract party, the one celebrating a deal worth $990 million, her husband pointed right at me and said, "Could you be a dear and help with the hors d'oeuvres? They're short-staffed." The room froze, then burst out laughing. My sister smirked. My parents? Silent, like they agreed I was just the help. They had no idea the woman they mocked was the one who built the empire from a dusty garage, the one holding signing rights to that billion-dollar contract. So I slipped my phone out of my clutch, locked eyes with Hayden, and said 6 words that shattered their perfect little script. Cancel the contract, effective immediately. The music stopped. Glasses hung midair. My sister's face drained white as cameras turned, because suddenly, the nobody in the back wasn't so invisible. But here's the truth. The deepest cut wasn't that insult. It was every birthday, every holiday where they clapped for her and looked straight through me. So tell me, have you ever been erased by the people who should have protected you? Drop it in the comments, because this isn't just a story about money. This is about blood, betrayal, and the moment silence turns into the loudest revenge. The laughter didn't sting as much as the silence. Not from the crowd, they were buzzing like bees around champagne flutes, but from the 2 people who should have had my back. My parents stood still as marble statues. My mother's eyes dropped to the floor. My father looked at the ceiling like it held answers. Neither said a damn thing. I walked past them slowly, the sound of my heels cracking against the polished floor louder than their loyalty. That wasn't the first time they left me to swallow humiliation. It started years ago, little moments that piled up like bricks on my chest. When Valora wanted the spotlight, Mom would say, "Let her have this one, Ro. She needs the encouragement more than you." When I asked about splitting credit, my sister laughed. "Babe, you hate public speaking. You don't need the spotlight. Trust me." And I did. God help me, I trusted her all the way to my own erasure. Back then, I thought family meant sacrifice. So I worked. Nights in a garage with an overheating laptop, scribbling formulas on a whiteboard while she breezed in from after parties, heels dangling from her fingers. I paid for servers, patent filings, even groceries when the account ran dry. There was a year I sent $20,500 every month to cover unexpected expenses. When I asked where the money went, Valora just said, "PR isn't cheap. You'll thank me when we land Forbes." Over the years, my personal savings bled dry. Nearly $180,000 funneled into a dream I thought we shared. 12 years, hundreds of sleepless nights. And every time the company got good press, her face was on the cover, her quotes, her curated sound bites. Meanwhile, I was the ghost in every headline. Then came the day that broke me. 3 years ago. Quarterly strategy meeting. I walked into the lobby with portfolio slides in hand, ready to pitch global expansion, and my keycard blinked red. Again red. "Probably a glitch," I joked to the security guard. He didn't laugh. "I'm sorry, Ms. Marin, you're no longer on the access list." I stared at him like he'd spoken another language. I called upstairs. No answer. I texted Valora. "Hey, I'm downstairs. Keycard's not working." 3 dots appeared, then vanished. 10 minutes later, an email landed in my inbox. "Advisory privileges suspended pending internal restructuring. Thank you for your contributions." I stood there, frozen, clutching my laptop like a lifeline, listening to muffled laughter and clinking glasses from the boardroom above. My team, the one I built, was in there without me. And I realized something bone deep and brutal. I hadn't just lost my seat at the table. I'd never had one. I didn't quit that day. I should have, but I didn't. Because deep down, I still believed we could fix it. That maybe if I kept building, kept solving the impossible, they'd finally see me. So I worked. Quietly. While Valora soaked in magazine shoots and filmed day-in-the-life vlogs, I was in conference calls at 2 a.m. with suppliers in Shenzhen. When Hayden whisked her to Dubai for brand deals, I negotiated compliance audits for 3 different regions, alone. There were months I lived on instant noodles and black coffee because every spare dollar went to family needs. New branding? I covered it. Legal fees for the merger? I wired $18,000 in one transfer. Mom said, "Just help your sister get through this round, Ro. You'll both win later." Later never came. Every time I raised the question, my equity, my title, Valora had the same script. "Babe, relax. I'm the face. You're the brain. It's yin and yang. This works because you don't crave the spotlight. And honestly, you'd hate the pressure." Pressure? I was carrying the damn mountain while she played goddess on Instagram. One night, I pushed harder. "Valora, this isn't balance, it's theft." She smiled without blinking. "Ro, please. Without me, you'd still be soldering wires in a garage. You needed me. Don't forget that." Her voice was sugar. Her words were poison. And I swallowed them again. The cost wasn't just money. It was life. Birthdays spent debugging instead of celebrating. A fiancé who left because, in his words, "You're married to that company, and it doesn't even have your name on it." By the time the engagement ring hit the bottom of a trash bin, I barely flinched. I was too tired to bleed. Then came the leaks. An investor dinner in Palo Alto, whispers swirling while Valora dazzled in crimson silk. A man at the table turned to me, voice casual. "So how long have you been Hayden's assistant?" The laughter that followed wasn't cruel. It was worse. It was dismissive. The kind of laugh people use when they think you're irrelevant. Valora didn't correct him. She giggled. "She keeps us organized. Couldn't survive without her." My cheeks burned so hot I thought the stem of my wine glass might crack in my hand. That night, in my hotel room, I opened the company site. Her bio read like a royal decree. Visionary. Founder. Disruptor. Mine? It didn't exist. The team page listed interns, PR reps, even the office dog, but not me. I stared at the blank where my name should have been, and whispered to the dark, "What am I still doing here?" But the next morning, I got up, packed my bag, and went right back to work. Because somewhere in my chest I thought, if I leave now, everything I built becomes hers forever. So I stayed. Through the late nights, the cold coffee, the migraines, the panic attacks I hid behind a locked bathroom door. Through every boardroom where I took notes instead of credit. Through every whisper that I was too rigid or too emotional to lead. I swallowed it all, because silence felt safer than war. Until the day it didn't. It started with a call. "Rowena, hey, this is Dale from Capital Summit West." His voice was tight, careful, the way people sound when they're about to hand you bad news. "So you really called Val a snake in writing?" My throat closed. "What?" "In that email to your friend. Look, I get it. Families clash. But investors read this stuff. It's circling." I didn't breathe until I opened my inbox. And there it was. Screenshots. Not full conversations. Just fragments, twisted. Words I'd typed in anger months ago. Valora doesn't think long-term. She just wants applause. No context, no follow-up, just me hanging on a digital noose. Beneath it, a LinkedIn post. "Sibling rivalry turns ugly at Valorate. Yikes." Within a week, 2 consulting offers vanished. Another firm stopped returning my calls. Deals worth $220,000 in potential contracts. Gone overnight. I told myself I could shake it off. But then came the document. It was past midnight when I finally logged into the patent database, fingers trembling. Just to confirm what was still mine. Just to remind myself I wasn't crazy. Patent number 9428X70, filed January 9, 2017. Inventor, Valora Hale. Co-signer, Charles Hale. Where was my name? I scrolled again, heart pounding so hard I thought the screen would blur. Checked amendments, checked the legal portal. Nothing. 3 months before my 30th birthday, my sister had quietly reassigned my work using an old power of attorney form. The one I'd signed years ago before surgery, when Dad said it was just in case. He co-signed it. They didn't just take credit, they took authorship. My tech, my blueprint, my life, gone in black ink. That contract was worth $990 million, and with one signature, I'd become a ghost in a billion-dollar story. I closed the laptop gently, like if I moved too fast, I'd break the last piece of myself holding steady. Then I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and sat in the dark. No screaming, no plates thrown, just silence so thick it felt alive. Hours passed. Rain tapped the windows like a slow, cruel metronome. My phone buzzed. A new email from Dad. Subject: forwarded note. I clicked. Inside, one line that hollowed me out. Valora, you were right. Raina never could see the bigger picture. Too emotional, too rigid. Good thing we never handed her the foundation. Signed, Dad. I read it twice, then a third time. My fingers went numb. Too emotional, too rigid. That's what they called me for wanting what I built to have my name on it, for wanting respect. I dropped the phone. Sat on the floor surrounded by years of files, tax returns, old pitch decks, and one small napkin from the night we scribbled Co-Founders 2011. My chest caved, breath sharp, and for a moment I thought, maybe they were right. Maybe I was never enough. But even as that thought burned through me, another voice broke through. Quiet. Steady. My own. No, they didn't erase you. They rewrote you. And you're going to take the pen back. The rain hadn't stopped, but neither had I. By dawn, my kitchen table was a war zone of manila folders, USB drives, old hard disks. I opened one after another, digging through 7 years of buried work. Screenshots of code commits, whiteboard photos with my handwriting, email threads where Valora called me our secret weapon. Receipts of everything she said didn't matter. At 6:30 a.m., I found the old email chain, the one where she promised, "Don't worry, you'll be credited internally. External visibility doesn't matter for us." My reply, "It matters to me." She never answered. I dialed Ezra's number. My hand didn't shake this time. It rang once. Rowena? Yeah, I need you. A pause, then. If this is about what I think it is, I'm in. Ezra had been my first engineer. The kid who'd helped me solder wires in a garage before Valora learned the difference between RAM and ROM. Now, he worked for Stratwin, the very firm ready to pump $200 million into Valora's empire. I flagged inconsistencies in her deck, he admitted. But they shut me down. Said you signed off. I didn't, I said flatly. Silence. Then. Send me everything. Every proof you've got. If you never signed the NDAs, this whole deal is a house of cards. By 2 p.m., I had a dossier thicker than a court summons. Code histories, time-stamped commits, even a voice memo of me explaining neural load calibration in 2016. Truth in binary and ink. At 3:15 sharp, Ezra pinged me a link. Private session. Risk counsel present. I clicked. The screen blinked, then settled on a boardroom view. Long glass table, 4 faces in muted squares. Ezra's voice was calm. This is Rowena Stratton, original architect of the Valorate neural framework. One lawyer frowned. We were told she relinquished rights. I leaned forward, voice steady. Show me the signed release. They couldn't. Ezra shared his screen. File after file scrolled. My code, my emails, my patent drafts with metadata older than Valora's first press feature. The silence on their end thickened like wet cement. Finally, a man in a gray suit spoke. If she didn't sign the NDA and retains authorship, then your $200 million exposure just turned radioactive. Ezra cut in. 3 beats of silence, then a single word. Pause. The deal froze. Just like that. Stratwin slammed the brakes on every dollar Valora was counting on. For the first time in years, the power wasn't in their boardroom. It was in my hands. And I didn't gloat. Didn't shout. Power like this doesn't need fireworks. It needs silence that echoes louder than applause. Somewhere, Valora was refreshing her inbox, smiling like the world still worshipped her name, clueless that the floor beneath her had just vanished. I pictured her in that glass office, heels clicking, voice sharp as she barked at interns, rehearsing victory speeches for a deal that no longer existed. The same woman who told a room full of people I was better suited for hospitality was about to learn how hospitality feels when the doors slam on her. This wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. And God, it was clean. I ended the call without a smile. No victory dance. Just a breath that tasted like steel and rain. As I closed my laptop, my phone buzzed, Valora's name flashing. I let it ring, then die. 5 minutes later, a message landed. You always do this. Hope it was worth it. I typed back slowly. No, I just stopped pretending. Hit send. I stared out the window. The storm had thinned, but the wind still moved hard through the trees. I pressed my palm against the glass and whispered. I'm done whispering. 2 days later, the storm outside was gone, but the one in my inbox wasn't. Headlines everywhere. Funding frozen amid IP dispute. The disappeared co-founder speaks. By day 3, Valora's golden image was tarnished bronze. Stratwin issued a statement. Pending verification of ownership. All disbursements are on hold. Translation? She was bleeding out. Then came the call. Unknown number, too crisp to be a scam. Ms. Stratton, a clipped male voice said. This is Gregory Marsh, counsel for Ms. Valora Hale. She'd like to arrange a private settlement discussion. I let the silence stretch until it felt like rope around his throat. When? I asked finally. As soon as possible. 2 weeks later, they walked into my new office. Valora, our parents, her lawyer. No cameras, no champagne, just water on the table and sunlight slicing through the blinds like a truth they couldn't outrun. Her lawyer started first. We're prepared to offer $6.5 million and public acknowledgement of you as co-founder in exchange for... I raised a hand. Stop. Here's what I want. 1. A full public apology in your voice, on camera. 2. You withdraw from all Stratwin negotiations effective immediately. 3. I retain full rights to my code. My name, my work. Valora's jaw tightened. You can't. I already did. Silence, sharp as glass. My father finally spoke, voice brittle. Ro, please. We'll lose everything. You didn't lose it, I said quietly. You gave it away. Big difference. My mother's eyes glistened, but no tears fell. Maybe they'd run out years ago. They signed. Every page. Not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice. When they left, I opened my desk drawer. Inside were 2 nameplates. The old one, scratched and forgotten, and the new one, polished, bold. I set them side by side. That, I whispered, is the difference between being erased and being reborn. If you've ever been silenced, listen closely. Silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. Until the day you speak and change everything. What would you do if your family tried to erase you? Tell me in the comments.